What's up, Blue? Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another Q&A video where we're talking all about cost of living in Portugal. Although just to set the context, we are in the interior of central Portugal, and so what we're going to talk about today will almost certainly vary up and down the country and from east to west as well. But this is a question that we get quite a lot, so we thought we would cover it in some detail. And of course, as usual, we'll show you a couple of things that we're getting up to, small things that maybe don't fit into our other larger videos. So let's go and find Kylie and see what she's up to. Hi.
Hi.
Have we caught you at a good moment?
Yeah, but just let me avoid burning myself first. Check out the colour of that. Oh, maybe I did make enough brine. Whew, it's hot.
It is hot. So we're not talking pickles today.
Well, we're not, though these look amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to eat them. How long do they take, just out of interest? No, we're not talking pickles today.
We're not talking pickles.
We're talking cost of living.
Money.
And you love talking about money and stuff like that. So tell me. First of all, should we set some context?
Yeah, let's. So before we moved out here, one of the things that we did was in London was lower our cost of living as much as we could. And then the intent with this project was also to lower our cost of living. So we don't have a mortgage or pay rent because we bought the house in cash. And we decided to live in a tent instead of rent somewhere locally while we're renovating again, so we don't have that cost of living. And our whole idea here is to simplify our living, grow our own as much as possible, replace as many things that we buy from the supermarket with things that we can produce ourselves, hence pickling.
And we'll show you another one a little bit later on, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it's looking like crazy. Our cost of living has no rent. It also has no electricity because we have solar. We have a little bit of gas, but we do try to use our oven and other means as much as possible.
And we've just ordered an induction hob to replace the gas.
Just about to, yes. So I was having a discussion with someone in the comments recently about an induction hob. I think his name was Howard. And we had contemplated getting one for in here, but then decided, no, we'll wait until we have the kitchen inside, which we're going to put a big 4-ring induction hob. That original conversation I had with Guy was like when we thought we would get to the kitchen much faster, and now we realise it's probably a couple of years away. And the discussion that I was having with Howard made me rethink this idea of, well, if we're going to be in here for another couple of years, then an induction hob in here would make sense. Anyway, that is beside the point, other than that would lower our cost of gas. So let's get to the money. We have a budget, a monthly budget of 1,050 euros. That budget covers all our monthly bills, all our annual bills, and all of our food, cats. That does not include, however, anything that is infrastructure for the house and farm projects. They're in a completely separate budget so that I could keep track of what of our general expenses. So I can break it down even further.
Do you want to go somewhere cooler to break it down?
Yeah, I think so. It's warm in here.
Okay, let's go and find a cool spot to go and talk.
Let's do that.
That is much better.
It is. It's still warm.
Okay, so where were we? Let's talk monthly
bills.
Budget. Oh, monthly bills, yes.
So we have an allowance. Our total monthly bills allowance is 165 euros. We do not spend that every month, however, because it depends how much diesel and gas we buy, because that's one part of our monthly bills. 165 euros. So that includes our Portuguese learning platform. So we have an allowance for those two things. We have an allowance for broadband. We use a 4G mobile data SIM thing. That's 30 euros a month. Water. Now, water is very variable. Normally we're spending, it's like 8 to 9 euros a month, except for when we're irrigating. And we just had our water bill for the last 3 months, and it was 150 euros for 3 months. So 50 euros a month.
Ouch.
But that is something that we will be replacing. We just know that at the moment we have to run off of mains.
But that bill is water and waste disposal.
Yeah, it's funny here. They base your waste disposal based on how much water you use. So it's at the tiered system. The water here is very affordable when you use a small amount, hence why we only charge 8 or 9 euros. But as it goes up, the more you use, the more you pay. So the tier for the top rate is like 3 times the tier for the bottom rate. obviously to discourage people using too much water. And so then we also have an allowance for gas and diesel, as I said, that varies month to month. So 165 euros at the moment. That will definitely come down, though I think we'll probably get Starlink at some point because the 4G internet here is not as reliable as we need. But that will be in the future once we actually have a house to live in. So in bills also, there is another 195 euros that we have as an allowance for all of our annual bills. And I've worked out all our annual bills, and then I work out like a monthly pro rata for all of those. So they include things like travel insurance, the medicines that we buy on an annual basis for our cats for worming and fleeing, also their vet visit, which is once a year. It's the 2 MOTs for the cars, the insurance for the cars, the taxes for the property. I guess in the UK you'd call it council tax, but here it's once a year and it's not very much. So I think cumulative it's like 40 or 60 euros a year for
which is crazy.
Our 2 sets of buildings and the land. And we actually have an exemption on the house for 3 years because it's our primary residence. But yeah, it's not very much compared to, even in London, we were in the cheapest borough in London and we were paying £60 a month. It's not even comparable.
Yeah, huge difference.
Oh, and our accountant's fees. So obviously we have to do a yearly tax return here and in the UK. So it's covering for both of those. So this is the bills, and then the rest of it, whatever the rest of it equals, is spending. And I put a little bit of that also away for holidays.
But we haven't taken a holiday in like 3 years.
No, so that money is just there's a pot that's just growing. So yeah, there you go. 1,050 euros for us. And as I said, we don't spend a lot.
But so the majority of it goes on groceries, right? So supermarket shopping.
Yeah, but it's also things like anything that we might need to buy household-wise. That is all of that. And that goes up and down every month. And we also have our own personal funds. So that budget is just for our shared household expenditure. But we barely spend any money. The only thing that I spend money on is yarn for knitting and crocheting.
It's an expensive hobby.
It is. It is. There is yarn collecting and then there is knitting and crocheting. They're completely 2 separate hobbies. I'm very good at yarn collecting. I'm still working on the knitting and crocheting.
Yes, and at the moment I don't really spend much at all personally. I think I still have a Spotify subscription, which I think is like $6.99 a month.
Which I use rather than you.
Which Kylie uses more than me because she has fancy builder's headphones that play music via Bluetooth, and I don't. I get a haircut once every few weeks. I kind of need one right now, but that actually comes out of our shared budget. So I think my monthly spending is €6.99. Occasionally I buy clothes, although you might have noticed if you watch some of our videos that we very rarely change our clothes and we can do an entire project wearing pretty much the same thing. You want to talk about your clothes as well?
No. We will be reducing these costs because that's the whole point of us moving here. And we want to be self-sufficient or semi-self-sufficient or somewhat self-sufficient.
Somewhat self-sufficient, I like that.
In as many things as possible. So at the moment we're trying to identify the things that we buy that are the most expensive that we can make ourselves. So for example, peanut butter here, super expensive in the jars and small jars, and we like peanut butter and we eat a lot of it. So we now buy peanuts, which are more affordable, and make the peanut butter ourselves. And eventually we'll grow our own ground nuts and then roast them and make the peanut butter. But let's talk about one other thing that we're doing to reduce our spending. We need to go to the house.
Yes, to the house.
Welcome to the not so nice house.
Ooh, okay.
Get some light in here.
So welcome to what used to be a kitchen and is still sort of a kitchen, but also sort of a brewery / wine cellar. That sounds a bit fancy for what it is, but we are in the middle of a renovation. But we thought we'd show you one of our current wine projects, which is on the bench behind me. We've made a lot of country wines. They're called basically making wine from fruit or vegetables or flowers. Basically anything that's not grapes is usually referred to as a country wine. And last year we did pear, peach, cherry, orange, plum, a couple of different kinds of plum. And the best one of the lot so far was cherry. And we had a cherry harvest earlier this year where we really only managed to pick from one tree, but we picked 16 kilos of cherries from that one tree, and we have made some cherry wine. We're actually doing an experiment with this. It was pretty good last year, but we wanted to see if we could improve it. So we've done 2 variations on last year's recipe. So we've got a control batch, which is exactly the same as last year, but of course our skills have improved a little bit, so that may even be a little bit better. Who knows, it could be a little bit worse. The first variation was using a different kind of yeast. So this is a champagne yeast, or EC1118 apparently. And apparently it's a fancy yeast, and it's going to do wonderful things for the taste profile of our wine, maybe. And then the last one is that we added raisins to the must to give it slightly more kind of rounded mouthfeel, more body, a little bit of extra sweetness and depth of flavour, hopefully. And so in about a year's time, which is too long to wait and I'm very impatient, we'll be able to taste these different variations and see if one stands out or if they all basically taste the same, and how we might want to proceed with Cherry Wine 2023.
This is a bottle that we made last year. So
I should have put one of the nice labels on it. This has just got the post-it
This is how
note.
we roll around here. We have an argument as to whether this is our best. I like the cherry wine the best. We also have a rosé plum. That's also a nice pinkish colour that Guy really likes.
Yeah, I think that one's good. Very good, actually.
But this is probably my favourite of the ones that we made last year. Hence why we're doing a little bit more of it this year. Last year we did 3 demijohns worth, so this is like double that. Again, we drink a lot of wine, so one of the ways to bring down our monthly budget is to make our own wine. And we're not ever going to stop drinking good wine because we really like good wine. But if we
What
can
are you saying?
if we can do 50-50, so 50% of store-bought or vineyard-bought, and 50% of our own stuff, just to offset the cost of that, that will bring down the cost. I mean, wine here is very cheap, so it's not going to reduce our monthly budget by that much.
Yeah.
But we also want to make cider and beer.
Yes.
We did try some cider last year. It ended up becoming apple cider vinegar because we didn't know what we're doing. We got it all wrong.
Very much so.
And Guy is taking up a new hobby of learning about beer brewing. So I don't know when he's going to do that because we don't have any space. But
But look, this is the perfect, clean and tidy, spacious brewing
have you
environment.
seen covered in cobwebs and dust? And the thing that people say all the time in the comments, why are you spending so much time on winemaking and gardening? And it's because it's a cumulative project for us. It's becoming more self-sufficient, and if we wait 5 years until the house is done, then we have to do all that learning. So we're doing all the learning at the same time, and yes, it slows down the renovation, but also it's fun. Like, life is meant to be a bit of fun, and the building work can be exhausting and tiring. This is fun, even if it doesn't taste that great. Tonic solves all the problems.
And of course we get to experiment and taste the successful and maybe not so successful experiments, and that is a lot of fun too. All of these boxes are filled with bottles that we've been saving for future brewing projects. And then down here we've got a whole bunch of stuff from, most of this is from last year. It's hiding out of the light. Cat, get out of the way. So we've got a whole bunch of different brews down there, lots of orange wine, there's some peach, some pear, and the cat is very interested too. So there we go. Hopefully that answers the question about our cost of living here in central Portugal. Of course, it's very specific to our situation, our circumstances, what we value and what we spend money on. But hopefully it gives you a general idea of what things might cost here if you were going to do a similar kind of move or something like that. But that's it for now. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. See you later.
Do you think it's too early to drink this?
Yes, it's too early.
Okay.
We haven't had breakfast yet.
Okay. Bye!